Zero shots on target. Hi everyone, I'm Farinho and welcome to Farinho Talks Milan. I was hoping to kick off my YouTube channel with a positive video, but unfortunately Milan had other plans. So here are 6 things we learned from Spezia's 2-0 victory over Milan. Number 1, Benassi is still not ready to start. Now, it's always difficult coming back from an injury, and Benassi, as we know, is probably Milan's best midfielder and has been Milan's best midfielder over the last year. He and Getty together are exceptional in midfield, but today told another story. Benassi looked sluggish. He was far from his sharp, energetic, tenacious self. He didn't have a lot of opportunities on the ball, and when he had the ball, he couldn't play between the lines. He couldn't play the ball over the top. And again, that's not to take away from his technical ability. Now, of course, no one could envision the type of night Milan had against Spezia. And on paper, it seemed like a Getty Benassi outing in midfield would do the Algerian wonders. But unfortunately, he was substituted. I am, however, glad that he's back. I am, in a way, glad that he actually got some time to play today, albeit a miserable timeout, that has to be said. And I do think he will get a substitute appearance against Red Star. I don't think he will be risked from the start there, but he needs minutes, particularly with the vital derby against Inter and then Roma coming up afterwards. Number 2, Dalla doesn't take his chance. Calabria has been one of the best performers this season, in my opinion. He's also been one of the most consistent performers. Whether you put him at right back, whether he played in central midfield, he's just grown in leaps and bounds from the Calabria we've known from seasons past. Now, Dalla was not brought in to be a starter, but when a first-team player gets injured, or when your starter gets injured, you as a backup, you need to show what you are capable of. And in the past, Dalla, whilst he hasn't been brilliant, he has been okay. But today was a completely different story. He looked sluggish. He couldn't apply himself well. He couldn't even do the basics correctly. And it's a shame because you'd be hard-pressed to find a Milan player who was actually really good against Spezia, but I think that Dalla was probably the worst player on the pitch. He didn't contribute at all going forward. I don't even know what his pass completion rate was. He had no chance against Saponara, and they really took him to the cleaners. In my personal opinion, I do not think he's Milan quality. I don't think paying Manchester United and redeeming him come the summer is a good idea. I think there might be a better option out there, even if it's another loan. Dalla has failed to really step in and fill that role. Number 3, the pitch was an absolute mess. Now, from someone who plays on amateur pitches, it's horrifying. It's horrifying because of the potential injuries, and I had to grit my teeth a lot when players try to turn. And whilst the Spezia players are used to playing on that pitch, other teams who go there are not used to that. And I'm just thankful that Milan have come away from this without any injuries. Mind you, this does not excuse the way Milan performed. I think that's a completely different story. And it was just a frustrating watch for me to see the pitch cut up like that. It's not conducive to fast-flowing football, and that's what Milan are good at. I do think it wouldn't have made much a difference with the way Spezia were playing, but I will cover that in the next section. Number 4, Spezia executed their gameplay perfectly. It's very rare that Milan have been outplayed this season. Atalanta comes to mind. I do think Juventus, the loss was more down to individual errors, but Today, Spezia wiped the floor with Milan, and they were brilliant. Credit where credit is due, they deserve the victory. Milan are lucky that it was only 2-0. I think they could have got more. They were well drilled, they were well disciplined, and they were compact. All of that made it impossible for Milan to play their game. Hakan couldn't find space. As a number 10 in the free role, he had to go out wide to get the ball. Ibrahimovic had to drop deeper to get the ball as they were beating him in the air and beating the Milan players to the second ball. Leao and Salamakers were absent, had very little impact on the game. Leao less so than Salamakers. And that is down to the way Spezia was set up. Milan tried to go long, they were at a disadvantage. Tried to pass out from the back, Spezia hounded them. They were tenacious, and they really played like Atalanta did. When you do that, it can cause Milan some trouble. Number 5, 0 shots on target the entire game. Perhaps the most troublesome thing for me in this entire performance was that what Milan are particularly good at and have been good at in the last year is creating chances. And they didn't manage to hit the target once. And it's a bit worrying that despite having a full attacking lineup minus Rebic, that they were that toothless. The last time that happened, according to Opta Paulo, was August 2019. You would think that a Milan team that has scored 2 goals plus for a long period of time in consecutive games would fail to register a single shot on target. Furthermore, they were completely useless from open play. The biggest chances came from set pieces, and Mandzukic nearly scored at the end, but it was too little too late. The writing was on the wall. I do think this was an anomaly. I don't think they will perform like this again, but it was just poor. It was so poor. They strung together one counter-attack that I can remember, and that was it. That was the closest they came to playing the football they had played in previous games. Number 6, outmatched, outclassed, out everything. I can't remember a performance this bad in the last year. We talk about the banter era like it's behind us, but this was a performance that belonged in 2017, in 2015. This is not the type of performance we have come to expect from a Milan team that convincingly beat Juventus earlier on last year, that convincingly beat Inter in the derby, convincingly beat Napoli, beat Lazio under even worse circumstances. It was just shocking. It was shocking. And I asked myself, do the players actually want to be there? It seemed to me like they had already made their minds up long before that this was a win. Yes, the team are to blame, but so is the coach. That to me signifies that there is a mentality of complacency. I have complained about it before. Milan don't really take the game to smaller teams. They don't go and win by big margins. They go 2-0 up and they're comfortable with it. That approach was bound to backfire. Now, again, taking nothing away from Spezia, who were phenomenal today, you just expected the team to show up, and they didn't. From the first minute, they were shell-shocked. They failed to establish themselves in the game. Again, they didn't create any chances. They all looked lethargic. Yes, the weather was terrible, but come on, if you want to fight for the title, you need to win games like this. Championship teams win games like this. And you'd think that a team that had to cope with so many injuries, so many suspensions, would put this team to bed. They were poor against Bologna previously. They improved a lot against Crotone. It was pathetic. If we call a spade, there's no positives. There's nothing. I do hope Milan use this opportunity to learn I do hope that Pioli uses this opportunity to set their heads right. And I do hope they use this opportunity to bounce back in the derby. That is a make or break fixture. Against Roma, it's a make or break fixture. By the end of February, we could be sitting in second position, third position, and for me, we've been going so well. And it would be a shame to throw that away. Now for the player ratings. Donnarumma gets a 6.5. He did what was asked of him. He couldn't have prevented the 2 goals, and he did make a very good save in the first half. Romagnoli gets a 6.5. It was an above average performance from him. He didn't make any stupid errors, but overall, the defensive unit was very poor. Kia gets a 5.5. He was behind the pace. I'm not too sure why Pioli started him. Theo Hernandez gets a 6. He tried to affect the game, but he couldn't play his usual game. Dalla gets a 4. I did explain why. I'm not going to run through that, but he was just poor. Benassi gets a 5.5, along with Frankesi. Both of them really had a poor game. They couldn't play the usual game. They got overrun in midfield, and it was just a poor outing. Hakan gets a 4.5. Now, Hakan hadn't really done anything to affect the game. He looked sloppy. He looked disinterested. And it's a shame because he had a very good game against Crotone last time out. Rafael Leao gets a 4.5. He was missing the entire game. Salamakis gets a 5.5. He did get the ball a few times, but again, it's not enough. Ibrahimovic gets a 6. Not the best performance from Zlatan. I expected him to do a lot more. But again, a striker with no service is practically useless. Mario Mandzukic came on. He nearly scored, but that was about it. I think in the last few games, he really hasn't shown. He really hasn't shown much. And Pioli, I don't think Pioli knows how to use him as yet. And that is indicative by his positioning. It just seems like he stuck him there for no reason. Tomori gets a 6.5. He should have started today. He was playing very well recently, and I think his form would have helped Milan cope a lot better with the way Spezia were attacking. They were quick, they were direct, and Tomori is very good at that. Tomori is also very good at recovering the ball, and that would have helped Dalla out a lot. Meite gets a 5.5. Again, in midfield, he came on, did nothing. Castillejo gets a 5.5. He came on. Castillejo brings nothing. And again, it was far too late for Pioli to try and change. Hauge is unrated. I didn't see enough of him. Now for the coach. Where do I start? On paper, he got the lineup somewhat correct. I think he was forced to play Dalla. No one could have foreseen the way Spezia had approached the game. But again, is it really worth starting Benassi? Is it really worth starting Kia? And then afterwards, when you see it's not working, you need to be able to adjust. Good coaches are able to adjust. And Pioli has been fantastic this last year. I don't think anyone expected it. But now that we've shown what we can do, Pioli needs to show a bit more. His substitutions were left too late. He had to take care of who are struggling. He had to take Benassi off who are struggling. Those are already 2 substitutes wasted. He brought on Castillejo and Hauge far too late. They couldn't affect the game much, particularly in a game like this where Spezia have been pressing for the most part. They will be tired. Both fullbacks are on a yellow card. Get some fresh legs in there. Do something. And bringing Mandzukic on was I think it's right to bring Mandzukic on, but he doesn't know how to use him yet. And I do think that the best option for Mandzukic would be a straight swap for Zlatan. So Pioli gets a 5.5, and I think I'm being a bit lenient here because if there is that mentality of complacency, that's on the manager. You look at successful managers, you look at the likes of Juventus' domination over the past decade. There's no place for complacency. If you are serious title contenders, you need to act like that. I do think he got it wrong. I do think he will get it right. I still have faith that he's the guy to take us forward. We beat Inter once. We can do it again. And the good thing is that he has a full squad. He just needs to know how to use them. For my South African viewers, this is how I feel tonight. Now, I do hope to be making less of these negative videos and more of the positive videos, which is why I wanted to start this channel. I've been wanting to do so for a while, and Milan have been very good. They've been giving us so much to talk about, so much joy. They've also been giving us misery, here and there, but it's been a good run for the club. And I do think that we will put this defeat behind us. So far, 2021 has been a mixed bag. I don't think we've ever hit our top form since the Lazio game last year. And it was really demoralizing to witness today's defeat, but we'll get past it. And if you enjoyed today's video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm just starting out, so please drop your suggestions, give me feedback, interact, and go easy. And lastly, Forza Milan.